Hello, everybody. Welcome to a Boss Rush Media Patreon exclusive episode. I am your host, Corey Geary. Alongside me is my good friend, my good pal, co-founder of Boss Rush Media, Boss Rush Games, and Boss Rush Network. You know him, you love him, that retro code, Eddie V.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, Ed. This is weird.
It kind of is weird. I mean, we have done episodes that kind of felt like meetings to explain things for the listeners and stuff, but this one is kind of giving our Patreon supporters like a heads up what the future holds for Boss Rush in general.
Yeah. First thing right off the bat, we're not having any normal episodes this week of anything. And moving into like the Christmas holiday and New Year's and stuff, we're not going to have episodes that last week either of the year. We're going to start doing that kind of thing. I know we don't really like to miss episodes, and we've been a very big proponent of not missing episodes. At least Ed and I have been, but you know, our team does a lot of stuff, and everybody kind of deserves a break once in a while, you know? So, big holidays like Christmas and Thanksgiving and Easter, those weeks we will not have episodes, really. So, you might get an episode like this those weeks of just like a founders state of Boss Rush kind of thing. You know, we're having a big meeting tomorrow with the leadership team about kind of a similar but different direction, you know? So like Ed hinted at, you know, we're kind of like, I don't know. Ed, when we started this almost 3 years ago to the day, almost, to be honest with you, found that out looking through stuff. I think it was like the 17th or 18th or something of whatever of November that we officially started Codename NX, which would become Boss Rush Games, which then kind of transitioned into Boss Rush Network / media / whatever we turned it into. And everybody participating and doing things right. And it kind of grew bigger than we thought, faster than we thought, to the point where, like, I feel like, at least on my end, I've just been trying to keep up with putting stuff out instead of actually organizing things into the areas that they need to be organized into and doing some of the business back end stuff. And that's kind of... It's kind of where we're at, you know. With this week off, this is kind of like the week I'm taking to kind of reorganize everything as fast as possible, so we can continue with business as usual on Monday. But I mean, how do you feel about everything? I mean, I know that your schedule is a little bit different than mine, but like I feel like we grew faster in terms of not just listeners and viewers, but like people, you know.
There's been a transition, and transition as from where we started, where we were just really talking about games, and at that time, you know, we didn't have a big crew, we didn't have a big podcast and stuff. And I think as time went on and we met other people, and you know, we asked other people to join and guest, we kind of grew into this big family / community in a sense. And so when we just started off with being Boss Rush Games, more stuff started being included, which made us it's a network. But you know, we have so many different things about us that Boss Rush Media just felt right naming everything in general. And we're going to explain what Boss Rush Media Network and Games is going to be about, everybody. But I kind of feel like this is something that over time for me and you personally, we never knew we would be here at this stuff,
No, I thought it was gonna be like I thought it was gonna be you, me, and Jesse, and like maybe one other person at some point for forever, you
Right.
know.
Whatever. But it's kind of just like the journey that we have been on, of us learning stuff, you know, kind of getting to where we're at now and everything. Like you said, 3 years from Code NX, but we've been in this game
Oh yeah,
for a long time.
I mean, 2023 is gonna be my ninth year of podcasting, eighth year, ninth. Hold on,
I
I gotta check something.
That may actually be because from where you started, from where our I started. If people don't know, um,
Yeah.
I started with optional opinion,
Mm-hmm.
and that started with the Anonymous Radio Network.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then Corey, you had your oh, go ahead.
Oh,
Okay.
I was just so I started creating so I started content creating at a very specific time uh because I think, you know, back in like 2000, I would say like 2010 to 2014,
Hmm.
uh I think IGN's podcasts were probably like the biggest podcasts out there at that time, them and Giant Bomb and stuff like that. And I decided that I kind of wanted to start doing things in 2014 because of Giant Bomb and Podcast Beyond at the time, right? Like those were the two
Yeah.
big influences in my creative sphere, right? And so,
If
what?
Oh, I was like, and for me, it was like OneUp.com. It was like
Yeah.
Ziff Davis listening to the One Up podcast and watching the One Up show stuff. I was just like, who knew that that kind of content would inspire us to do our own? So definitely with me, I was writing on One Up on my personal blogs,
Hmm.
and that's led me to optional opinion. I'm like being able to speak on games in a different way.
Yeah.
So
And, you know, when that small group from IGN left to go do Kind of Funny, and then like Giant Bomb became like Giant Bomb East. Like they had two kind of
hmm
things, and they were just kind of like, you know, anybody can kind of like start whatever. I was like, oh, okay, so whatever I started in 2014 was kind of like, you know, I had a website, and I tried my hand at solo thing for a while, and then obviously, Ed, you and I met through my first real group project,
hmm
DNA,
yeah.
and that was, I mean, that's where Powblock came from. Was that first group, right? Like, I wanted to, you know, I had a lot of friends that I did stuff with, and then we wanted to have our community involved, so that's where Nerds Gone Rogue and uh, Powblock came from. And then as you know that group faded away, it kind of Nerds Gone Rogue kind of became the brand, and the rest is kind of history for those who've been following Powblock for that long.
Yeah.
You know, and then that all kind of spiraled and became this. Uh, but yeah, I mean, right now it's like we're we were so we were so pardon my language, I guess. We were so hell bent on trying to do content together after Nerds Gone Rogue kind of was dismantled that we never really like mapped out what we really wanted to do. We just knew we wanted to do
hmm
things together, right? And
Yeah.
you know, the NX show was the NX show for the, you know, the Boss Rush podcast was called the NX show for the first 30 something episodes. And
Right.
you know, we had people involved that went on to do bigger and you know bigger things. You know, Ray Apollo was part of, you know, part of it for a while, and we had other guests on that were part of it for a while, and you know, just people coming in and people coming out of this thing, you know, just whatever. And
hmm
then we kind of just started finding people who wanted to do stuff, and obviously now this is where we're at, and we never really caught up. I think from just, I feel like we're still like, we want to do things
Hmm.
together, and we're still in that spot of like, we would like to do more, but we're still playing catch up every week of like, we need to get content out before we start doing new content, and then we never really figured it out.
Well, because I think like having a roadmap is fine, but I think once we start podcasting, once we start talking and doing shows and everything, having our conversations, we're having fun, and
Hmm.
we just don't think about everything else because it's like we said, yes, we have some stuff planned, everybody.
Hmm.
But I think it's that natural ability that we have and how we all gel together. That when we all come together to create content or just even podcasts, it feels genuine. It doesn't feel. I mean, there's some professional to it, but I'm just like, it feels very genuine that you hanging out and you're listening to different podcasts here on Boss Rush,
Hmm.
and even in our partners, uh, podcast and their content, listening to them, it's just like, man, you you get kind of like you want to get involved, you kind of want to respond and stuff, but it's just like it's that natural feeling.
Hmm.
And I think that's what kind of brought a lot of people to Boss Rush is that everything is just natural. Everything, where it's a place where you could be you, um, and feel welcome and stuff. And that's always been our thing, welcoming people to come in,
Hmm.
listening to the podcast, interactions and stuff like there. Um, that's been one of our things because it, it it's good that you put content out and get feedback and stuff. It's kind of
Like
worrisome
Snacktendo.
when
Have you seen the
yeah.
comments on YouTube from our state of Boss Rush when I said,
Oh no, I
because
have
I
not.
remember that episode, we kind of was like, well, maybe we'll merge Snacktendo or make it less of a feature because it
Uh,
was part of like the older, you know, show where when I kind of tried to give resuscitate Arsenal X for like 6 months and
uh-huh.
uh and then when I came back it was like, the whole show had changed, which was crazy. But like, yeah, the comments on YouTube are just like, no, please keep Snacktendo. We really just want to hear about the snacks and how wild they are. There's like 2 or 3 episodes with comments on YouTube of just like, keep Snacktendo. I'm like, oh, okay then. Sure. I guess we're keeping that. So yeah, I don't know, man. It's just, I'm I think what I really love to do and what is actually the worst thing for us is that I just keep tinkering with things and wanting to make things, switch things up and make things better,
Mhm.
and it's just like not happening. And it prevents the consistency of the content. And so
Well, I
like
think
my hold on, let me finish real
okay.
quick. I'm going to like stop tinkering after going into 2023. Whatever the shows are like, that's how they're going to be set, and I gotta stop tinkering. I gotta stop, really switching things up because it prevents people from getting into our cadence and everything.
Mm,
So we're having the meeting tomorrow about, kind of what we're going to actually talk about on this episode tonight. And I think one of the big
yes.
things too, since we started, was like, I want everybody to feel involved and feel like their voice is heard and have
Hmm.
their voice kind of reflect how we do things. But I feel like as co-founders and leaders of this thing, right? I feel like we've not been the best at putting our foot down on certain things and saying, this is how things are going to be. If you have any issues with it, we'll talk about it, but for now this is how it's going to be. And we're going to take everybody's thoughts and opinions into consideration, and kind of delegate certain responsibilities off to certain people, but like, you know, I I think we need to have a more of a authoritative voice, because I
Hmm.
also think that the lack of, I don't want to say the lack of leadership, but the lack of like an official top of the pyramid type thing has also kind of prevented us from growing in a way that I think we should be, and we're not. So,
Yeah.
uh, I hope that makes sense to people. I hope it doesn't sound like we're going to be some kind of gaming dictatorship up here, because
No, no.
that's not what we're trying to do. It's just, I want us to be more leaders and everybody feel like they can voice their opinions to the leaders, as opposed to like, hey, we should do this, and us just saying, okay, we'll try it, you know.
All right.
So, do you have any other thoughts before we dive into this massive document that I created for the meeting tomorrow? This five
Well,
page outline.
well, before we get into it, I just kind of want to say that, everybody, when we do change things and you see different stuff, I always feel like it's a new season for Boss Rush for these shows. So, um, when we get into 2023, there's going to be some changes for some shows, some changes on how we do things and everything. Uh, we're still doing E3. That is a big thing since it's coming back this year. I mean, for 23, that's going to be something we're definitely going to be looking at. Still doing direct recaps or in direct. Uh, direct reactions. But there are going to be some new things, definitely with expansion pass and even with talk the walk. We're going to be bringing in some new things with that.
Yeah, and I
So
think I think we want to do more things with expansion pass. There's an idea that I have that I really want to do, Ed, that we can talk about later. It's kind of like a
mhm.
MPD kind of draft almost, where like, here are the games coming out next month. Let's try to guess where they're going to land on MPD, and then we get so many points depending on where they land. I think that'd
Yeah,
be cool idea of some sort. But um, yeah. So speaking of things that are kind of changing in terms of Patreon, we at the beginning of the year we're going to add a couple more tiers to try to uh just try to broaden some things. The current tiers are still going to exist, right? So no, that nothing there is changing, but we're gonna incorporate uh, a community interaction tier where you get to vote on certain topics and games for Talk the Walk, certain games that we do for hopefully upcoming Let's Play shows,
hmm,
that kind of thing, and Talk the Walk episodes, interview questions, stuff like that. We're gonna try to incorporate something like that, and even have like a special badge on Discord. Our Discord is gonna be open to everybody, but our patrons will have like a special channel and like a like a some sort of thing that will signify, hey, this is our role on Patreon. Look at me, I'm
yes,
cool, type thing. We're also going to look into like custom emojis and stuff like that. I don't really know how that all works, but we'll figure it out. We're also going to clean up the Discord a little bit, because I know that there's some confusion on how to ask questions on the Discord, which is, partially our lack of Discord management. Um, so we're
hmm,
going to try to clean it up over the next couple months and have it ready for 2023 as well. Please join the Discord, though. We want you there.
yeah,
We just want to clean
yeah.
it up a little bit. So, uh, sorry, it's weird. My nose
Uh,
is like stuffed, like
So,
getting stuffed in real time. It wasn't when I sat down, and now it's like, oh, snotty nose. Brr.
it's the weather is changing, and so
I hate this weather,
we're
man. Hate it.
our bodies try to get used to it because normally around this time or in March, that's when I really get like sick
Hmm.
and stuff. Um,
Yeah.
but like but it is weird because for the rest of the year, I barely be sick. This year, for some unknown reason, it's just like, man, the change of the weather hit, and I wasn't prepared. So I know what you mean, Corey.
Yeah.
It's that Midwest season, everybody.
Yes, that great thing called the Midwest, where we both live.
Well, Corey,
Anyways,
you ready to jump into it?
yeah. So
What?
first things first, there have been some, and this is some patrons have messaged me over the last couple months. Some of them, some people still with us, some not. But so our Patreon is Boss Rush Network, right? That's what we've
Hmm.
kind of promoted it as over since January. Um, that's changing. It's actually going to switch over to Boss Rush Media, to try to incorporate our to let people know that you are supporting our in-house content, because some people have been asking why Lore Together isn't on our Patreon, or I've gotten four emails about Lore Together specifically. Uh, don't get me wrong, great group, but they have their own
Yes.
Patreon, right? Like they have their own thing going on. I want you to support them directly. But the thing is if you subscribe at our new tier, our new highest tier, some of the money from that tier will go towards supporting the network, which is our community. So let's break it down real quick. Our Patreon is going to be switching over to Boss Rush Media in the coming weeks, months. I would say probably mid-December.
Hmm.
Uh, Instead of Boss Rush Network. It's nothing is the content will not change. Um, well, it'll change a little bit because of the new tiers, but I mean overall the content that will be provided there will not change. It's still going to be Boss Rush Podcast, Boss Rush After Dark, Talk the Walk, 1v1, Nintendo Power Block, and Expansion Pass. Ed and I are trying to figure out how we can add an extra episode of Expansion Pass. We're also going to try to
Hmm.
do some new things with Expansion Pass, and we're going to
Yes.
try to get topics up uh, once a month that you guys can vote on, and then the following month we will hit two of those topics on an Expansion Pass.
Hmm.
That way you guys feel more of like because A, we want our community more involved in stuff, but
Yes.
B, like it's really hard coming up with topics that like every what so often, right? Like it's kind of difficult, and so we want to know what you want to hear about, so it's easier for us to prepare and kind of uh change the show towards that. But yeah, Patreon, Boss Rush Media, that's the company. That's what we want you to support. I thought about doing two separate Patreons, one for Boss Rush Games and one for Boss Rush Network, but I don't know how confusing that'll be for people. I know some bigger outlets have two Patreons, like Kind of Funny has two
Hmm.
Patreons, one for their gaming specific content and one for their non-specific gaming content, and then like their highest tier you can kind of merge
Get
them
both.
somehow or something. Uh, I haven't followed them in years, but I know that's what they used to do. I don't really know what they're doing now. Uh, but I feel like we're definitely not big enough to do that. And if we
Hmm.
were big enough to do that, I feel like people would just understand anyway. So I'm not even going to bother with that. We are going to try to add some content to that list, but probably mid-December it will be patreon.com/Boss Rush Media and not Boss Rush Network. We will probably still try to figure out how to link Boss Rush Network to this Patreon at some point, but uh, that's what's changing. That way, nobody's confused on who they're supporting. Our
Hmm.
highest tier will have that distinction of, hey, some of this money will go towards supporting the network and trying to have some sort of pot of money for them to be supported with, right? So,
Yes.
uh, but with that said, Ed, like you already brought up, the distinction of the difference between Boss Rush Media, Boss Rush Network, Boss Rush Games, and Boss Rush partner channels. Um,
Yes.
right now, it's kind of been all folded into one thing. Um, I think it's a good idea to finally lay out a distinction of all these because we just haven't had a great job of messaging what is what. And
Hmm.
if everything says Boss Rush Network, then everybody thinks everything is part of Boss Rush Network. And some are tangentially, and some just aren't, you know?
Hmm.
So, um, where do you want to start here, Ed? Should we start with the in house stuff?
Let's start with Buster's Games, to give everybody what that is. Since we kind of started out as Buster's Games, Buster's Games for us is our podcast. So the Tinder Pod Block, Buster's Podcast, Talk the Walk, 1v1, all of that is part of Buster's Games.
Yeah, our in house stuff. Like,
Yes. Um, um, this is kind of, I believe, this is kind of excluding the writing stuff because the writing
yeah,
part is part of our network stuff.
yeah.
But this is the podcast that you guys see on YouTube or you hear on your podcast of choice, like Apple Podcast, Spotify.
Hmm.
All of that is going to be under games. So
Yeah,
when you hear us say, "Welcome to Nintendo Power Block" here on Buster's Games, that lets you know that it's the in-house version. I mean, it's the in-house part, which is our game section.
yeah,
With it.
yeah. Yeah. So, like Ed said, it's the content that lives on the Boss Rush YouTube channel natively, right? Like all those podcasts, all those Let's Plays that we're gonna try to do at some point.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's kind of what the shows that our team leads kind of create and live natively on our YouTube channel, right? So,
Yes.
just to list those off again, real quick: Boss Rush Podcast, After Dark, 1v1, Talk the Walk, Pow Block, and Expansion Pass. Those are in-house podcasts. Those are all the shows that will exist under Boss Rush Games. Um,
Yes.
so that's when you hear Boss Rush Games and when you see the pod. I'm going to update the podcast logos this week to say Boss Rush Games instead of Boss Rush Network. Um, that's what that means. So, uh,
Hmm.
they're still going to exist on the Boss Rush Network website. They're still going to exist on our business website that we're in the middle of creating right now. Um, but just so everybody knows, that's what when we say Boss Rush Games, this is what we mean. Um,
Yes.
and then Boss Rush Network is our community-driven content and the creations from our community, content writing and channels that are community-driven, working together to support each other and grow everyone's communities and content. I have a typo there. I'm going to fix that. Nobody's ever going to see that, but it's fine. Podcasts, streams, and videos from creators part of our network. From creators that are part of the network live on their own separate channels, but will continue to be supported by Boss Rush Media and Boss Rush Network social channels that are featured on the website and featured on our website. Boss Rush Network it's currently led by David Lasby, the editor in chief
Hmm.
of BossRush.net, and Stephanie, who is our chief content officer over there, and obviously she's a co-host of Boss Rush podcast. So like I said, that includes the writing team, the content and podcasts from other channels like Lore Together, Blocks Gaming Reviews, Console Gaming Crew, EXP Cast, one of the creators over there, Ouch, his content when he kind of starts figuring that stuff out and finding new creators that we can kind of help. That was the initial idea of Boss Rush
Yeah.
Network, right? Was to help because we've been doing this a long time. We kind of have a bigger audience compared to a lot of people who are starting out, obviously, because we've been doing it for so
Hmm.
long. In any way we can try to help people do that, that's our goal. Some
Yeah, and it's
people
it's
some people want the help, some people don't. I get it. but that's just kind of our goal, right?
It's a good way to get other people's content out there to help them get listeners to find different opinions of stuff or different topics that they talk about. Lore Together, they explore different games and the lore about them. EXP, uh, they they kind of do two different podcasts where they kind of break down news, talk about what they play and stuff. But
Hmm.
then sometimes they have a separate show that just has a main topic or
Hmm.
something. And it's good to find that because expanding your listener base is what we want to help with.
Hmm.
If that helps your community, that kind of helps our community.
Hmm.
Because like that showcase that, hey, I was able to find these listeners. I was able to find these content creators do Boss Rush, and still be able to hear our content and stuff. So we just really want to help expand a lot of people's content.
Yeah. And, we're always looking for new people to kind of be involved in the network side of things. So,
Hmm.
um, and that's going to have its own kind of monetization. David and I talked a little bit about that, but we still need to have a larger discussion about that. But that's going to have its own monetization model and stuff. Like I said, our Patreon is going to have a tier that will be aimed at supporting uh, some of that too. But
Yes.
if you are at one of the lower tiers on our Patreon, that's going to support Boss Rush games mostly. Obviously, there's wiggle room, and I'm always gonna help where we can, right, in terms of
Hmm.
putting our Patreon money where it needs to be. But overall, the idea is the higher tiers will some of that money will go towards supporting the network and the website and the writing team and stuff. But um, yeah, just so that's clear. And then Boss Rush partner channels. The partner channels is something that Ed and I have talked about for a while, and we kind of are half-assing it a little bit. uh, but in 2023, I kind of want to make it a bigger thing where content that exists, that Boss Rush hosts create in tandem with or coexisting with our current content, with our in-house content, right?
Right.
This idea will probably be led by LaRon and Stoy, most likely, and then us tangentially. Um, Crossroads is like our Crossroads and LaRon's YouTube channel and Twitch channel our are kind of our first partner channels, right? We've considered
Yes.
obviously Crossroads is like one of our biggest shows, right? So
Hmm.
uh, that'll be that's a partner channel. LaRon and I have already talked about that, right? So and then Tower Casuals, my Destiny podcast, is also like a partner channel, I would say, although, it's kind of like this is kind of a new concept, really. So we're kind of trying to figure it out. But
So it.
if we're separating this into a list, this is what
Mm,
it's Crossroads, it's LaRon's channel, it's Tower Casuals, and like I would like EXP Cast to be one since Stoy does a lot with us, and Stephanie
yeah.
obviously is a big part of us too. Like it's we'll see. I'm gonna ask him about it tomorrow. So
Yeah. And the partners channels is like you said, Corey. Um, that it has a connection to Boss Rush, but it's not fully part of Boss Rush in a
yeah,
sense. You
basically
might hear a little.
basically they have like more of a say in what we do, and they are
Yes.
on our podcast, right? Like LaRon, for example, co-hosts the Boss Rush podcast, but also he does a lot of his own content on his own
Hmm.
channel, but still promotes Boss Rush stuff through his content too, right?
Yes.
So that's kind of like what a partner channel is. You look at LaRon's channel and Crossroads, that's what it is, right? So
Yeah.
um
Oh,
yeah, and then like the last kind of the big overarching thing is Boss Rush Media. Boss Rush Media is just the company. That's just our company. It's Boss Rush Media LLC, right? That's just the
hmm.
company name and the company brand. That is kind of the tip of the pyramid I mean, if you look at it like family tree style, right? It's Boss Rush Media, and then you have three branches coming down, and these three columns are like the children of Boss Rush Media, you know. Uh, so that's kind of where we're at. The company and overarching umbrella is Boss Rush Media. This is what will be on any official documents we do in terms of business type things, or if we go to PAX or E3 or whatever, Boss Rush Media will be the brand. Uh,
Hmm.
it is. There's also we're building a business website that's only intended for informational purposes and business inquiries. Right. It'll link out to bossrush.net. Bossrush.net is still the front and center website, right? And
Yes.
that's kind of where we're at. I'm also gonna try to get us all business cards at some point, design them with everybody's title and where we're at and where you can find us, that kind of thing. Uh,
Hmm.
so that's kind of that's kind of the distinction. I hope that all makes sense. I think it makes sense, right, Ed? I mean,
Yes.
I know it kind of sounds complicated, but we're growing and we're big, and it's gonna be a little bit complicated because to make it simple, it's gonna sound complicated. I think a little bit. And obviously, some of this may or may not change depending on our meeting tomorrow, right, or tonight if you're
Hmm.
listening to this, because I'm gonna try to get it out in the morning. Uh, but I think this is where we're at, and this is what I want to do with it, and this is kind of where Ed and I landed on it. So,
Yes.
um, we're also gonna try to aim at improving social media and community presence, especially Discord and a Facebook group. I know a lot of people still use Facebook, especially the audience that we are aimed at. We have not even tried to tried to do the Facebook thing for a long time. We've been pushing everybody to the Discord, and that's fine. But some people just don't like Discord or don't even know what Discord is. And
Yeah.
I know a lot of people don't really care about Facebook, but Facebook groups are still a big thing, and we're going to try to be better at that, especially since whatever's happening with Twitter is like you know
So let's address the Twitter thing. So there are things, a lot of things changing at Twitter at this time and everything, but it seems that it's still going on, so we don't know what the future holds, but we still want to promote like our news articles, our
hmm
our blogs and stuff,
yeah
and still post to show our shows and ask questions and get listener feedback through our Twitter. So that still is going to be around um at this time for anyone who's sticking around with Twitter and want the updates from where we're going to, where we post on our social media and stuff. Um, like Corey said, our Discord is still going to be there for us to interact and talk and, show your food, your snack tin, or your pets and stuff like that. We're still going to have that community partnership with that. Like you said, Corey, Facebook is still a big thing.
hmm
Um, we kind of, I can admit, we kind of gotten away from Facebook because of us doing a lot on Twitter,
yeah
in a sense. So we're going to try to integrate Facebook into what we do and everything to get content out so people could who still follow us on Facebook that they know that we're still around. And
yeah
in the case of you miss some of our content, bam, Facebook is the place that you guys can find us to get that content out. So just to give everybody that heads up and stuff, until Twitter shuts down and you know we don't have a Twitter space no more. We're still using Twitter for a lot of our social media
yeah
stuff, so you
the
guys
th-
could go there.
the thing is
But
I don't think Twitter's going anywhere. I think a lot of people that are saying that are kind of like the internet does, over exaggerating
mhm.
everything, right? I get
I
that they don't care about Elon Musk or how he's running it, but like I don't think
I
Twitter's going anywhere.
I will say everybody go check out the latest episode of After Dark. You guys talked about that.
Oh yeah,
That's a really good episode.
yeah. That came out on free feeds this week is
Yes.
definitely and that was 2 weeks ago, right? I mean, that's the episode we recorded 2 weeks ago, and now it's like, oh no, what do you? Hmm.
Yeah. Um, but you know, with Twitter we still want to be active on there. With Facebook we need to become more active because we were active in the beginning, but as things change and stuff, like I said earlier, transition, uh, we we just kind of posted some things about us on different places on social media than Facebook. But we're going to integrate that so that people can continue to check out and try to get more listeners and more opinions from people. We would love to have that from the Facebook community. So we're going to be working on that. Um, Now,
Yeah.
Twitch, in a sense, me and Corey are talking about Twitch for a few things,
Hmm.
um, but we still are going to have content on Twitch at this time being. We'll let you guys give you guys update in case of anything changes and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. We're trying to figure out options. What's the best? Like, do we want to live stream and use the audio from that or do we want better audio? Like, I mean, if you're listening to this, please let us know. Like, this is
Hmm.
kind of a big thing right now. Is like, do we want quality? Do we want ease of access? Do we want both? Like, there's a way to have both. It will just take us longer as in production to do that.
Hmm.
I want the show to reach as many people as possible, right? Like, does that mean we stream to Facebook and YouTube as well as Twitch? Does this mean we start streaming to YouTube instead of Twitch? Like, what does it all mean? Do we try LinkedIn, which is like where I work? LinkedIn live streaming is huge. I mean, it's a different type of focus and everything, but like
Hmm.
where I'm looking into making us a LinkedIn page for our company and a LinkedIn group too. So um, that's something that's going to happen this week. And yeah, I think there's a lot that we could do differently. I just want to know what the best way is from people who listen, right? I know our YouTube
Yes.
viewership has gone up, but I would like to save the YouTube stuff for edited, uh, you know, processing stuff. So
Hmm.
we'll see. But yeah, that's kind. I mean, that's just kind of where I'm at right now, man. Do you have any?
Yes.
I mean, do you have any thoughts on that?
Um, the LinkedIn thing, I didn't know they did stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I would probably have to study it, or maybe do a trial run for something. Maybe we do like a 25-minute expansion pass or something just to see how it goes and everything. Because I think that's gonna probably be something new for the listeners and for our community. Uh, but it'd be something to explore and see how that goes, and get that kind of feedback
Mm-hmm.
and stuff. Because, like I said, I didn't know even I didn't know that LinkedIn did anything like that.
Yeah. So I mean,
So,
it's there's just some changes coming. Like I said though, like I'm trying to make that transition as easy as possible so that people who just
hmm,
listen and want to listen and don't care about any of the things we're doing, like none of that is going to change, right? It's still going to go up.
right.
I mean, what Pow Block might go up on Tuesdays instead of Wednesdays, guys. That's I mean, that's like the biggest change we're considering in terms of where things are placed and stuff. But
Yes.
other than that, like nothing is changing in terms of listening to stuff. So,
Hmm.
um there's that, and then uh yeah, I want us to have a better I want to encourage people because when we were doing Nerds Gone Rogue, right, Powblock had a lot of listener questions and interactions, and we're like, not I'm not trying to say like it's like, ooh, our what we're doing now is bad. It's actually much better than how we were running Nerds Gone Rogue, but like the interaction isn't there that we used to get. And I'm trying to like,
Yeah.
where's the interaction? Why can't we have more interaction? And so my big goal for 2023 is to encourage our community to interact with us and make it as easy as possible, whether it's through
Yes.
Patreon, whether it's through Discord, whether it's through Facebook or Twitter or Mastodon or Hive or wherever, whatever the next big social media platform is, right? Like, I've created 3 new social media accounts this week because I don't know where to go, right? Like, Mastodon, Hive, and co-host are 3 social media networks that are popping up, and a lot of it is for work though, right? I mean, like, that's, I know we do this for fun, but this is also
Yeah.
this is also what I do for work. So, uh, not this, but like the company I work for does podcasts and videos and live
Yes.
streams and stuff. So like, and I also do most of the social media stuff. So like, I'm trying to like
Learn
I'm trying to
and
anticipate where the next thing is so we can
mhm.
be ready. Um,
Yes.
Man, I saw a really funny meme the other day. By the way, it was every you know how a couple years ago everybody was like quote unquote breaking up with Facebook because Mark Zuckerberg is turning it into some kind of weird metaverse thing, and nobody wants to be
Yeah.
a part of it. Saw a funny meme the other day. It was like walking back to your ex girlfriend, realizing you were wrong. It was like, hey, hey, and it was just like somebody terribly photoshopped Mark Zuckerberg's face on some like hot girl's body.
Oh no.
It
Ooh.
was like, hey. Oh, because Elon
Oh.
is like ruining Twitter. Um, so I don't know, man. I got it. By the way, shout out to Twitter's engineers. I know they all just quit, but like the fact that Twitter is still running with literally no hiccups after they all quit,
Mhm.
like a week after they all quit, is like, man, that's some solid engineering. I would be like backing up whoever the next big social media platform is or whatever. I'd be backing up dump trucks full of cash to these
It's
engineers.
it's literally so weird. Uh, Thinking of social media when Nintendo had theirs,
I know.
kind
Gosh,
of.
Mitomo
Uh,
and Miiverse. Like, imagine if Miiverse still
Miitomo.
existed.
Man, of Miitomo and Miiverse was a thing, and yeah, without the other stuff. If it really was just a stronger social media platform, I think a lot of people would be on it, gamers and non-gamers
Yeah.
and everything. Because I did enjoy Miitomo. I did enjoy Miiverse. I was listening to um Nintendo Life, and they were talking about the 10 years of Wii U and everything,
Oh
and it
yeah.
was just like you think about it, how Miiverse was kind of like social media for Nintendo. And then Mitomo, was that the app that they had? Nintendo had?
Mitomo was the phone app, and then Miiverse was the Wii
Yeah.
U. Like, man, dude, what if they kept Miiverse and Switch would have? Uh, oh my gosh, wow. Bob Chapek was fired from Disney today, and Bob Iger is returning as Disney CEO. Oh my gosh, that's such great news. Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Ah,
Sorry, that's like the best news I heard all day, right? Like Jason David Frank,
breaking news, everybody.
Jason David Frank passed away this morning, the Green Ranger from the Power Rangers. Like,
I did not know that. I was
and
like, when I
oh, go ahead.
no, I didn't know nothing to Shane. I was just like, wait, what? So I had to look at it to make sure. I'm like, is that
Hmm.
Tommy? And
Yeah,
then I looked. I'm like, oh wow. I was like, wait, what?
yeah. And then like obviously we lost Kevin Conroy earlier this week, and last week,
That one.
you know,
Oof.
90s and mid 2000s music fans, Aaron Carter passed away, and like there's just
Hmm.
like a lot of there's a lot of death happening, a lot of bad news happening, and like
Mm.
uh, this is like the best news I've heard all week, I
Oh,
think. Um, anyways, so I gotta. My parents are gonna be thrilled.
oh wow. Yeah, the Kevin Conway one was really shocking to me because I had just bought a new DC animated film with Batman in it. And when I heard the voice, I'm just like, oh, that's not like this is a different voice actor for Batman.
Hmm.
And he wasn't in it. So I'm like, wow, to hear him pass away was something that day. And I still have a lot of the Batman DC animated movies with him being in it and stuff, and even some behind the scenes stuff. So that one was just like, wow. Now I will say, happy birthday to Shigeru Miyamoto. The man turned 70. He's a treasure. God protect him. Because
Hmm.
like I said, that's a pop block that we're not ready to have.
Yeah.
A pop block and expansion pass. I mean, losing Iwata was hard enough.
Yeah.
Miyamoto,
Yeah.
um,
That's 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 gonna be a rough episode.
I'm calling in to work that day.
Hmm, uh, yeah, I don't really want to think about it right now. So
Yeah.
the we kind of talked about Patreon a little bit already.
Hmm.
I'm kind of leaning towards like a basic bronze, silver, gold, platinum tier type thing moving into next year. Um, like I said, the basic tier, which is the $1 tier, and the bronze tier, which is the $5 tier, those aren't changing. Like, if you want Patreon producer credit, if you want early access, those tiers, I mean, those tiers will never change. I'm not unless like you know we are like become greedy mongrels of people. Like those tiers will
Mm.
never change.
We're
Um,
not Warriors.
yeah, we might add exclusive content next year to Patreon, but that's a discussion Ed and I are gonna have another
Hmm.
week, probably the week before Christmas or the week after. We're gonna have that, because we still want to do like spoiler casts and stuff and all that kind of things.
Yes.
So, uh, but that's kind of the plan with
Excuse
that.
me.
I don't think there's anything else we really need to announce at this time in terms of Patreon, except that it will be Boss Rush Media instead of Boss Rush Network. Um,
Hmm.
so that's really the major change. Um, where I don't think we need to go over the current status of our products right now. I think everything is kind of in a good place. Unless somebody
Yeah.
says something tomorrow, we already had our state of Pow Block meeting episode, so
Hmm.
and we also had a separate meeting about it anyway. Is there
Yes.
anything else you want to talk about Pow Block for, Ed? I mean,
Um.
I think we're going in a good direction as we, you know,
Yes.
um, but I didn't know if you had anything else you wanted to talk about there.
Um. Uh. Not at this time. I think once we have the meeting, we'll be able to talk more about it, or people will be able to see some of the changes, or not changes, the additional things that's going to be happening on Pop and it's going to be really good, uh, for it and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but at this time, anyone who watched that episode, know where we're thinking, where we're heading toward for, and working hard as a goal. So we can't wait to for some new stuff to show you guys in 23 and everything.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah.
yes.
Um. So the last thing I want to talk about is the state of Nintendo Power Block, or state of Boss Rush Media as a whole. We're gonna try to do one of these every quarter, I think, as a Patreon exclusive type episode.
Hmm.
Um, right now it's just me and Ed. Maybe we'll have other people on it if they want to be involved. But before we get to that, I just want to shout out our Patreon producers, because our Patreon, like, I mean, we have a Patreon. It's great. It's fun, but like, you've really made this a lot easier to to um do every month or every week. Every
Yes.
day, really. And the fact that you know our patrons believe in us enough to just give us $1 every month, or $3 or $5, or however much you commit to us every month, is just, I don't know. I can't say thank you enough. Um, so our Patreon producers for this episode, for this state of the Boss Rush media, Boss Rush network, are Adriel Munger, Always on Deck Comedy, Austin Campbell, Celeste Roberts, Christian Skipper, my wife Sana Dierig, Francisco Santillan, and Rebecca Jewell. Um, if you are if you're listening to this, you're a patron, right? I mean, I might throw the YouTube video up at some point, but uh, if you're listening to this, you're a patron, and I just want to thank you. We both do, I
Hmm.
I mean, I don't think I would be out of line saying all of us thank you for supporting us over the last year. This has kind of been a
Yes.
test year, I think, in terms of Patreon, and I think aside from the standard definition hiccup, I think we've been pretty flawless in terms of delivering our content.
Hmm.
Um, and when I say minor standard definition hiccup, we came back strong with Talk the Walk and 1v1, which are performing way better than standard definition ever did anyway. So, that was an error on our part, and we still want to bring standard definition back at some point. It's just
I don't think standard definition was an error on our part. I think we had so much ambition for it, so
mhm.
much excitement to go for it.
Yeah.
Um, it's just different things we didn't plan life, because life played a part in some things and stuff. But I will say the concept that we did get out, hopefully people did enjoy with standard definition. And like you said, Corey, we hope to bring it back sometime soon, because I think, like I said before about standard definition is kind of our historic show where people can learn movies, games, uh TV shows, um whatever about entertainment that we grew up in, and why it resonates still with us today. And in the case of people who didn't to see those to see those things, get to have a chance to go check it out for themselves and everything. We
Mhm.
we constantly talk about the Ninja Turtles and stuff,
Mhm.
and everything,
Yeah.
but it was just like it's that love for turtles that we had as kids that still to this very day that resonate with us. So it's something that people could go and watch. And if you want to make fun of it, that's fine. But at the time when it came out, that was a really big thing.
Mhm.
It was very historic for us.
Yeah.
Um.
Yeah, and
So.
and elements of standard definition will continue to exist, right? Like, I mean,
Hmm.
ranking Nintendo will exist. We're gonna finish our Ninja Turtles watch through, right, with Lamont, at some point, and
Yes.
it elements will continue to exist, but I think we're just gonna kind of shuffle certain ideas into other products, which I think might
Hmm.
um, be better in the long run, anyway. So
Yes.
yeah. Um, But anyways, this the state of Boss Rush Media and the Boss Rush Network. I mean, I feel better about where we are now than I was a couple months ago. I mean, a couple months ago, I was like pulling what's left of my hair out. I just I being in charge of a company, one as small and non financially successful as we are, right? Like, I mean,
Hmm.
it's been pretty stressful on top of like, you know, normal work and life stuff. I mean, my my kids are taking longer to fall asleep, so it's giving me less time to work on this at night and trying to hang out with my wife on certain days too. And um, you know, a lot of stuff is going on at work that's exciting, but also, requires more work and, stuff like that. And I I just feel like my communication with everybody hasn't been the best, and um I feel like
Like,
after tomorrow's meeting and our meetings, and I feel a lot better. um and I think that we have a new foundation to build off of, in my opinion.
hmm
I think this year was finding the foundation and building the foundation. And next year, like I said in our Discord chat or whatever I just said, I think next year, I think next year is going to be a big year for us, and
Yes.
I'm excited to see where it goes. But what are your thoughts, Ed?
I'm looking forward to 2023. I think we, try some things. And like I said, it's a learning experience. I'm like, we are still learning about things. We're still trying to see what works and what doesn't work, because things just change. It's part of life
Mm-hmm.
and everything. And I feel like in 2023, because we know where we want to go, we're gonna work hard towards going that route and
Yeah.
everything.
And
Um,
I feel like doing more with less is the strong move for us too, right? Like,
hmm
no, I mean, I don't want this to sound bad for any of the shows that we don't have anymore or that are out there, but like the old expansion pass, Arsenal X, standard definition, like eliminating the stress of those three things has just been, I think it's worked wonders. And like doing more with, I mean, obviously we refocused expansion pass to be a Nintendo PAL block bonus episode type thing, right?
hmm
But like having that old style one, like with and then like Arsenal X, which like, you know, I I I didn't really like, I know I hosted that show for a while and I tried my best, but like I think everybody knows I would have rather been doing PAL block, right? I mean, I love Stoy and I love Jesse and I love what we were trying to do over there, but like I would rather be talking about Nintendo and like the other consoles in a more generalized fashion. I don't know.
I,
That's
I think I think this is a side tangent, everybody. I think because Corey, there was a time period that me and you barely recorded anything. Like
mm-hmm,
we weren't recording stuff at all. Like you
mm-mm,
was doing Arsenal X and Boss Rush, and I was just doing Nintendo Pop Like and then soon Talk the Walk. Like just me and you speaking to just what I'm speaking about right now. We just wasn't creating content, and
mm-hmm,
it felt weird in a sense not doing creating content together,
mm-hmm.
even though we was still talking and do messenger and calling each other and stuff. It really felt different not doing a show with you. And I don't know if you ever felt that same way not
Oh
doing a
yeah,
show with me,
oh
because
yeah. I mean,
it
I
kind
feel I feel that every Wednesday when we do Boss Rush podcast and you're not there. Like it's just like I love Laurent and Stephanie. I'm not trying to like make this sound like I hate that show because you're not there, but like we've been friends for so long that we just
of.
our cadence has been perfected, and like I feel like I'm still trying to figure out how to lead a show without you, if that makes sense, even though we've been doing it for a
Yeah.
year now at this point for
hmm
Boss Rush podcast, and at least this iteration of it. um and sometimes I feel out of place on that show a little bit. you know, and it's not to say that like I can't adapt and like have the conversation that we're having. That's not what I'm saying. But like,
Yes.
you know, when we talk when PC gaming or Monster Hunter or PlayStation stuff comes up, like, or just other general like indies or stuff, like, I feel like I don't have a common ground on that, and it's harder for me to discuss things like that and have like a
Hmm.
real conversation about something like that. Um, but like Pow Block has always just felt like, you know, one after that first 6 months or so, we really had a cadence down or whatever, and like we were talking about Bayonetta 2 and, you know, what would become Breath of the Wild that we didn't know at that time, and Pikmin 3, and, you know, going back to the
Hmm.
older episodes, is like we've had a cadence for so long, you know, that it's just like
Yes.
we could be talking about, I don't know, the Virtual Boy or something, and, you know, even though both have had very limited knowledge and playtime with that thing, like we could still have like a pretty good conversation about that, you know, and we know each other's likes and dislikes, and we know how to play off of each other, and, you know,
Hmm.
when you have a hot take, I know how to make it
Less hot
whatever
sometimes.
whatever we're making it, you know, or if I say something uh weird or interesting, you know how to play off of that. Like we've just had that, and like I don't know if like maybe I do, and maybe I'm just overthinking it by a long shot, but I don't know if I have that with Stephanie and LaRon yet. You know, like
I think you do. Yeah, I think it's because you guys. I feel like with Boss Rush podcast, we're not being on it and everything. It feels fresh. It feels new, and you guys are able to go and discuss things um, that I want to hear. Now,
mhm,
and this is a personal thing for me that I want to hear because I think a lot of my opinions, as wacky as there are, uh, is that sometimes my opinions sometimes create different discussions or change the discussion, and I'm like, what if there is a show that I'm not on it that doesn't have my opinion on it. That just makes me want to hear. Because I tell around on Crossroads a lot of times I hear something and I want to react.
hmm,
I'm like, oh, and it's not even about Nintendo or anything. Sometimes it's about just Xbox and PlayStation, and I get into my mind that I want to respond to stuff. But when I could just hear a podcast where I don't have an opinion and I can't react, I think that feels fresh to me
mhm.
because now I'm in a mindset of listening, and
Yeah,
I love that, you
yeah.
know. And it's
It's
something I personally have to get accustomed to.
yeah, it's weird. I actually feel more comfortable on that show when there's a guest on, you know.
Hmm.
And maybe I'm just weird. I don't know. I mean, I know I'm weird when it comes to
No,
I know I'm weird when I interact with people. I know like personally feel weird, but I know how to like turn on my person, if that makes sense, and be like a person, you know. But like it still
because
feels like hosting that show still feels super unnatural to me,
hmm
and I don't know if it should feel that way or not, or maybe I'm just old and tired, and
well,
I
well,
mean,
I, I kind of want to ask to, and this is just bonus stuff, everybody. So side tangent, side tangent, a go go.
that's fine.
It's Do you feel comfortable when I host? Cause like you
Yeah,
get to, I mean,
I feel like
go ahead.
are you talking about just like Power Block and Expansion Pass, like,
Oh,
or
just
just
in
in general?
general, just in
I
general at times.
I mean, I feel like that show got better when you started hosting, and I feel like our flow was better. But I mean,
Okay.
our flow is still there, right? I mean, like from the old show, it just I feel like you have the ability to excite people when you intro a show, and I'm just kind of like, you know, there as the the other guy. You know, like
Mhm.
I feel like when you host, like when I came back full time to Pal Block, and you are host, like you've been hosting since what, 220 ish, something around there. Like
Yeah.
I think it just made the show stronger. You know, um, especially with like the new formatting stuff and our new segments and everything. It just makes it more exciting and engaging. I feel like, which is another reason why I'm kind of like sad that we don't have as much engagement as we used to in terms of questions and stuff. And
Hmm.
um, so yeah, that's where I'm at. And Boss Rush podcast stuff, like it's probably just something that's in my head, right? Where I just feel like almost like imposter syndrome at that point, you know, but which I still feel every time we turn one of these shows on, where I'm like, okay, I guess I have to do have to do this and be here. Um, but it's I feel good about where we're at. Um,
Yes.
I would like to have more. Like my next big thing is two things: be have a better community interaction and engagement,
Same with me.
and have more guests on. You know, and it doesn't have to be
Hmm.
every week, right? But like, I love when Grayson comes on. I want to have Galatrad back. I miss him dearly. I want to have
Yes.
the Nintendo pals on. I want to have the secret friends on. I want to have people who I don't know I've never heard of or you've never heard of and have them back on, right? I want to have Nintendo main back on. I want to have maybe an indie dev on or whatever, even if it's for only for like a small segment. And
Yeah.
uh you know, because I mean, we sometimes our podcast goes upwards of 2.5 hours. I know people don't want to sit here and talk for 2.5 hours, right? We do because we're lunatics, but um so yeah, I want to have those are the two things I really want to aim for, and
Hmm.
reaching out to people. And I don't really know exactly how we're gonna do that, but I would like to do
I,
that.
I I know some goals for me is for next year outside of just doing power blocking and expansion pass and stuff. I do want to get back into doing 1v1s and trying to find different people because I love when Celeste does 1v1. Like she gets it. She knows how to
Oh, I
you
know.
know talk and stuff. And I
That
think
was such a
what's
great
different.
idea we had, and it was even better idea to have her do do them.
But I think what's
I know she's gonna listen to this and like laugh when we say that, but like, God, she's so good at those. It just like makes us. I mean, you're really
what
good at it too, though, Ed. But when it comes to me interviewing people, I'm just like, that's not one of my strengths, and it's never going to be, and I'm just gonna have to accept it, right? I mean,
and and, and
there are people that I would love to interview,
mhm.
but like my interviewing skills are so bad that I'm just like I would have to be a second chair on those interviews because it's
and
like
and to think about 1v1 with me, uh, is that I my thing is always to make the guests comfortable and
mhm.
everything, and make us have. And I think our conversations are like, yes, I am interviewing you, but we're having such a fun time and talking about things and stuff. So it feels like, yes, I'm like, I don't know. It feels like once again a natural conversation, but it always feel like I've known this person for a long time. When in reality, this is like my first or second time meeting this person and talking to him. And I think that's kind of what I like about 1v1, and I kind of want to get back more into it and stuff. Because I got some people in mind that I'm just like, well, once I get my computer, everybody. Hopefully, I have my computer this coming Thursday for Black Friday, so I could be able to record, do the stuff that I need to do, and help Corey out the way that I should be helping him out and stuff. Um,
Yeah, and like
but
the another thing too that I would really like to try to encourage people to do is like create some content and throw it up on the YouTube channel, right? It doesn't have to be a
Yeah.
podcast. It doesn't have to be, I mean, I think that's a big reason why we brought Cordy on Pow Block too, right? Is like she has streaming experience and, works with esports and all these other things. Like,
Yeah.
just, not to like throw her, throwing her under the bus. That's when you're about to be mean to someone.
Right.
Not to just call her out or anything, but like, what if she, like, I don't know, played some games with some esports people and we just threw it up as an archive stream or something on the YouTube channel,
Yeah.
right? I mean, one of those things.
And I think
I still don't think I use the right phrase, but also it's 11 o'clock at night and I've been busy all day and kind of tired and still have to do our social media stuff for the week, which thank God is light because we have no shows, but
no
still.
shows this week. No, but I think that's good for us with with the esports because that's one aspect that we are missing here at Boss Rush.
Hmm.
We don't know the esports side of gaming. And I
Yeah.
think
And I
that would
think
be something that we would like to learn.
and I think the one esports thing we have is Celeste did a 1v1 with a college esports team, what, a month ago, I think, or 2 months ago or something.
Uh-huh.
4 weeks ago, it says posted. So about a month and a half ago. So yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I,
So
I personally would like to do like Let's Play shows. I think that's the next step
yeah.
for us. And we've talked about bringing the retro game show that we used to do back. You can watch the old stuff on the YouTube channel, but I would not count it as first and second season of the show. I want to just start over. Like, we have never done it before. But if you want to see what those games, because like this was when we were first experimenting with Let's Plays and stuff, and
Yeah.
like some of our audio is broken and some of the videos are even worse, like pod and play stuff, like, that.
But once again, I'm proud of Pot and Play. I would
Oh, I
definitely say
love
that
pod and
because
play. I think it's a great idea. I almost think pod and play and the retro game show should be almost be the
Mhm.
same show now. But I don't know how. That's something that we can discuss too. Is like
Yeah,
and like indie masterclass is something we also used to do.
that was fun too.
Man, remember all the Let's Play shows we used to do, like Squad Goals and
Uh,
uh Royale with Cheese, and which was our battle royale show, and it was basically just me sucking at Fortnite and PUBG and Jesse just like winning all the time. That's basically what it was.
he's a master.
I know.
I'm not gonna lie.
And then us doing like playing Halo and Sea of Thieves and stuff. That was all super fun. I would really love to get back to that. It's scheduling, it's making sure people are on the same page. Community nights too is something that I would really love to
Yeah,
do. So, but our YouTube viewership is up a lot. Um which it's encouraging considering we only put podcasts up. Um But yeah, I don't know.
well,
I love what we're doing. I
yes,
know you and I have private conversations of like me being frustrated and upset and me maybe being a little over dramatic about things sometimes, but I truly do love what we're doing. Um
same.
I I think I think the reason why I get so frustrated is like I know we could be doing more, and I feel like it falls on me because I don't have the time I used to anymore with two kids.
Hmm.
And you know, I mean, my kids are falling asleep later now, so like now I'm struggling to see if we should move our podcast back to 9, which gives me less time to do things, right? Like I'm it's stuff like that like really scares me, and like monetization models, and do we try to get ad revenue for our podcast, or do we want to be fully Patreon funded in terms of our podcasts and
That's
stuff, which is like that's the route I want to go. Um, I think if we're fully fan funded and we buy the games, I mean we buy our own games anyway. We don't really work
yes,
with
yeah,
PR or anything right now. we have contacts. Like I have a couple contacts at Ubisoft and stuff that I just don't use because I don't. My struggle
We talked
is,
about it.
yeah, we did, but my struggle is like I want us to play the games the same time our fans are playing them and
Hmm.
have those discussions in real time with our fans. And I don't want any sort of free games or free codes to influence how we talk about the game, right?
Right.
If our writing team wants to do that, go right ahead, right? If our website team or if, LaRon wants to do it for Crossroads, go right ahead. If Stephanie
Right.
wants to do it because she's really into indies and it gives us a doorway into like indie stuff, go right ahead. I'm saying for me and for a monetization model,
I'm
that's
buying my stuff.
I'm buying all my own games, I'm buying all my own consoles, and our Patreon money is still going into like our giveaways and our funding new equipment and funding new uh prizes for our writing team because we have like a token system that David uses to reward people as they write. So like right now that's kind of where our Patreon money is going.
Hmm.
I need to revamp the store too. We're moving our store off of Redbubble because I know that quality is not top tier. So that's something I'm working on. But overall, I feel really good. And again, our patrons, I
Thank you.
couldn't do it without you guys. I think you guys help us immensely. If not, financially, just keep us going and keeping us sane and saying is what we're doing worth it? Because everybody
Yeah.
who listens, not just the patrons but our free listeners too, it's worth
Hmm.
it. So,
Yeah.
but with that
Corey,
said,
I think we're gonna wrap it up.
yeah, that's where I was going.
Uh,
Uh, but yeah, Ed, where can we find you?
everybody, you guys can find me on Twitter at that Venture Code, and on Instagram, also on our Discord. Check me out on the Pod Block and Expansion Pass. Like Corey said, we are taking a break this week, but we are going to be coming back next week,
Mm-hmm.
with a hot new episode. We'll be talking about Pokemon. We'll be talking about some other games and stuff. Um, yeah, so that's where you guys can find me. I know I haven't been writing stuff, but like I said, I'm waiting to get my computer. Hopefully, I get the right one and we can start recording again with better audio, and I don't have to go through my Xbox. I can get back to having my mic, uh, and just yeah,
Yeah.
and just want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. And if you're going out for Black Friday, please be safe.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and hopefully you guys enjoy some games. Hopefully everybody has a Thanksgiving game, this year. Something that's in your backlog that you're just probably going to be starting and everything. So hopefully you guys have that and enjoy.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, like Ed said, no normal episodes of anything this week. Even free episodes. I've moved out a week, so everything should be on schedule as we come back from the break. Uh, but you can find me at I am Corey and HT on Twitter and Instagram and Hive and Mastodon and co-host and wherever else you want to be right now besides Twitter. Um, yeah, join our Discord, join our Facebook group. We're really fixing to do that up, and yeah, you can
Oh,
find.
and Oh, sorry, Corey. One more thing, everybody. Please check out the latest episode of the Expansion Pass. We talk about the lifted games. I was watching it today, Corey. Man, that was a really good conversation.
Oh, which one? Which episode?
Today, the one that dropped, the
Oh,
lift of video
the
games.
does the length matter?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, if you want to support us on Patreon, you can. If you don't want to, just subscribe to our YouTube channel, Leave us a 5-star rating or review on your podcast service of choice on any of the shows you listen to. Although I guess this is a Patreon exclusive, so I guess I don't know why I said that, but it's fine. Anyways, thank you guys so much for supporting us. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And we will see you all next week with our regularly scheduled programming. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.